Advisory services offered through Blackridge Asset Management, a registered investment advisor. Securities are offered through Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Blackridge Asset Management is a separate and independent entity from Peak Brokerage Services, LLC. Member FINRA SIPC. And now, today with Denny, here's Denny Artache.
Good morning. It's so great to be here this morning. I really have been looking forward to this. And I'm here with my great producer, Evan Nine. And I also have special guest, longtime listener, Palm City Charlie. And Marla Brodsky, we're going to call her and rattle her chain. She's been busy. I think her dating life has really taken a toll on her. I think that's what the deal is. But folks, I'm happy to be here because, I try and entertain as much as I can. I'm a very transparent guy. And you know what? This new strain caught up to Denny Artache. That's why I was not here last week. I isolated myself for 10 days. It's interesting because this new Omicron, that's how they say it, right? Omicron.
There's going to be a lot of boys and girls named Omicron.
Omicron, probably, right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad that I was fully vaccinated. When it hit, it came out of nowhere. And I said, wow, I may have a cold or something, but I don't feel right. So I went and got tested, and lo and behold, yes, I became the next contestant on Are You Okay? And what's interesting is the whole COVID thing, I've been exposed through many people and never got it, including the Delta variant. So I get fully vaccinated, and this new thing came out. And so I have to say, folks, this holiday was not jovial for me. I couldn't see my family. I had to sit at home alone.
Wow.
But it gave me the opportunity to really think and plan 2022. I'm almost glad it happened in that way, that it made me reflect on what's really important. And what's really important is to have your health, is to have your right mindset. Christmas to me is very important. And guess what? I couldn't be with my family. I had to be alone. And but people have it worse. There are people this past week that have died of cancer. There are people this past week that so many bad things happened to them. So it's all relative. And what I want to say to you is, please be careful out there. This Omicron is a very contagious strain, but I believe
it's not as lethal.
It's not as lethal, and I really believe that if you are vaccinated, and please, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories about whether you should take the vaccine or not.
It's a personal choice.
It is a personal choice. I don't want to impose anything on anyone, but there's a lot of evidence, and I'm proof that if you are vaccinated, that if you get this, you're probably going to be okay. I think for the longest time there were no deaths, and then finally there was someone in Texas who died of Omicron.
One person
who was not vaccinated and had all these other strains.
Had other issues.
But anyway, that's what my last week. That's what my holiday was like. So I couldn't do the show last week, and again I isolated for 10 days. As soon as I found out I couldn't do a show, I'm going to make up today because tonight they have the Blues Jam, and the guy that was supposed to be there has COVID. So Hawk asked me if I would, and I said, yes, of course I'd be. So folks, if you're out and about at Terra Firmata tonight, I'm going to do the Blues Jam. It's going to be great. I did do the show on Rock and Riverwalk because that was the 11th day of, my symptoms and everything. That was a lot of fun on the water. It was great. And
you walked on water, Denny?
No, I didn't walk on water, but I did play on water, and it was awesome. It was so, folks. I'm very happy to be here. And the other day, I was quoted. I've been quoted on Yahoo News, Vice News, Epic News, a couple of radio shows on the West Coast. And the topic that I have a PR firm, and I want to also say that, folks, if you want to follow, I now have a podcast that you can see on Spotify. It's on Amazon, iHeartRadio, on Pandora. It's called The Denny Artache Show. And the reason I wanted to do the podcast is because now I can it's tough for everyone to meet me here Thursday morning. So with the podcast, it opens up my schedule. So look it up, the Denny Artache show. But one of the topics that I was asked as a financial person, hey, what are your tips for 2022? How could people get ahead of their finances? And it's one of my favorite topics because budgeting and planning your finances is the foundation of being financially well. But here's the deal. It's a grind, folks. It's like diet and exercise. There's no quick, easy. And the problem is everyone gets caught on instant gratification. That's just not how success in life is. You have to put in the effort day in, day out. You don't always see the results immediately. But what happens is you have a compound effect down the road. Every dollar that you put away and save is equal to about $250 20 years from now. How do I figure that? Well, if you have a 6 to 8% compound growth and it's growing and growing, growing, that's what it's worth. Now think about that. If you treated every dollar and you saved and invested that way, in 10 to 20 years, you're going to have a motherload of success.
But
Yeah,
it also, Denny, though, is somebody like you controlling it because emotions start to take over unless you have a fiduciary like yourself helping.
it's true. A lot of what I do is to stop my clients from making emotional decisions. They buy, they sell, they trade. They do. If you're buying for the long haul and you're investing in yourself, you've got to have a 10, 20, 30-year horizon. So that's true, Charlie. I get paid for, or I earn my commissions and fees by keeping people on track because it's tough. Look,
You're like the coach.
I am the coach. Discipline is the key of all success. And if it were easy, everybody would do it. We'd all be doing those Geico commercials, right? It's so simple a caveman can do it. But the reality is, look, one of the greatest investors out there is Warren Buffett. What does he do? He buys and holds companies. He buys them when they're out of favor. He sees the vision, and
When there's blood on the water, brother.
it's kind of you're right.
Right.
But he gets rewarded 10, 20 years down the road. Now, how many people have that discipline? It's kind of like, putting $50 or $100 away a week probably isn't sexy for a lot of people. It's not as exciting. But if you do something
20
like
years
that,
later.
right, you now have something that's been growing. And you also practice the art of saving money. You don't have to always buy something if it's on sale.
But it was so sexy, Denny.
Yeah, it was right.
At the time.
Do you really need to pay $5 for that latte every day? That's like $1,500 a year, which
Make your own coffee at home.
kinda, make your own meals. It's funny because if you go to restaurants, you would swear that people are rich. They're spending money, left and right, hand over foot, whatever the saying is.
Hand over fist.
Hand over fist. Yes, I can't keep up with all the sayings. And at the end of the day, when they look at their money, like how many people have a budgeting sheet that they look at every month? And what I mean by that, folks, is do you know how much is going out, how much is coming in, and how much you're saving?
If you're married, watch out for your wife or your husband.
Yeah.
Because they're spending like, hey, I got more checks. There has to be money. Yeah.
So if you have a partner that's likes to save money, you're good. But if they like to spend money, you're kind
Well,
of
it's kind of like a sea anchor, Denny. It kind of holds you back, brother.
You've been married 3 times, bro. How's that affected
Yeah.
your finances?
Well, my third wife is a collector, so she likes to buy and hold.
Does she collect
stuff.
husbands or
Stuff. No, just stuff. She's
Okay.
making a quilt right now to give away at our next Vietnam vet reunion, my company.
For those of you who
Beautiful,
don't know,
beautiful.
Charlie is a decorated Vietnam veteran.
Well, I
and
just lived, Denny. That's the bottom
I
line.
appreciate your. I'm a veteran. I did not chew the same mud as you, but I love my country. I love that you came back,
Me
safe.
too. My mom loved it too.
Yeah, I'm sure she
Yeah.
did. Look, you have a different perspective in life. You know that you look. Even I know that I have less summers ahead of me than I have behind me.
Yep.
I mean, that's just the way it is. So how am
Yep.
I going to spend my time? But back into the financial of 2022, I really like New Year's Eve resolutions. I know a lot of people don't because they don't follow it, but that doesn't mean that has to continue. just the whole point of making New Year's resolutions typically means people are going to write down their goals. They're going to look at them,
Yep.
and they're going to take actions to get them closer to the goals. Folks, what I'm trying to tell you is don't lose faith and confidence. Just keep the activity going, because you're not going to be rewarded every day. But definitely put those goals out there. Put a goal of, I want X amount saved. I want to make this much money. I want to be healthy this year. I want to have my mind. Stop watching so much TV.
You know what? I have a suggestion. You know, like Peloton is like a coach for
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
You're like the fiduciary coach for savings. You know, it keeps a person, you help put a person on the right path to financial success
The problem is it's not
for future.
so as exciting as a lot of these quick rich get rich schemes. They're like, what, you want me to have discipline? And no, that I don't want to do that. It's like,
I want to help you.
yeah, I want to help you, right? They love these athletes, right? Or these musicians that all of a sudden become overnight success.
Takes a lot of work. brother.
Exactly. They don't realize that musician probably was playing in smoky bars for 20 years before they made it, or that athlete was practicing 8 hours a day when nobody was
Absolutely.
looking to get to where they are.
Yep.
Life is not that much different, folks. So for New Year's Eve, put out your goals, stick to them. We're going to take our first break and come back with a very special guest on Denny Artache Show. Thank you.
Here.
All right, we are back on the Denny Artache Show, and I have a very special guest coming up shortly on the phone. I just want to say that to remind people, my company, Artache Financial Group, it's really exploding the way I'd like it to, and one of the things we're focusing on is tax mitigation strategies. I'm so happy and proud with the partnership because I say I want to be like Henry Ford. I want to surround myself around smarter people, more efficient people to provide the different things for clients. So my guest on the phone is Rick Martins with Inland Capital. And we're going to talk about, there are a couple of things and a couple of ways that people can mitigate taxes. Charlie, you like to pay less taxes, right? I mean,
I don't like to pay taxes. That's like
Exactly.
that's why I'm in Florida.
Well, yeah, I mean, we broke away from England
New
because we didn't
York.
want to pay taxes
Oh, yeah.
anymore.
Tea
So
party.
some people know, and as I've partnered up with great tax professionals, 1031 exchanges. If you have investment property in real estate and you'd like to take advantage because real estate is peaking and it's so hot, you'd love to sell it, but you're like, well, I don't want to pay the taxes.
Where do I
We
go?
can show, Rick's going to talk about how to shelter that and defer the taxes. But there's also another vehicle called opportunity zones, which is not limited to real estate. It could be an investment portfolio. Maybe you own Microsoft like Charlie and you have a big gain. We can show you how to defer those gains, invest it, and be that much ahead of the game. So, Rick, are you there on the phone with me?
I am. Good morning.
Great to have you, brother. And so, first of all, talk about your company because you guys, you are the 800-pound gorilla. You have the biggest market share in that space, don't you?
Well, yes, we do. We come from humble roots. We're a 52-year-old firm out of Oak Brook, Illinois, which was founded by 4 public school teachers. We have invested approximately over $40 billion in real estate during that time. And the 4 teachers are still partners today, 50 years later. We have created a very large market share for 1031 exchanges. We got into the 1031 exchange game via DSTs, or Delaware Statutory Trust, which I'll talk about in a second, early in the game, and have been a leader in this industry for quite some years. Today, we raise approximately $1.3 billion in equity per year and have about a 30% share of the entire market.
Which is huge. And 1031s, I believe they first originated in 1921, and I think in 1994, they did updates on the legislation. But folks, this is a vehicle that, again, you may have rental, you may have commercial properties, you want to sell it, but you don't want to pay the taxation. So, Rick, tell them how the Delaware Statutory Trust works, and
Sure.
the great tool that it is available for people.
Oh, sure. Just really quickly, a tax deferral from a Section 1031 is directly out of the code, the IRS Code 1031. And as you said, it has been in practice since 1921. So we've just passed our 100th year anniversary of the 1031. And what it provides an effective strategy for deferring capital gains that may arise from the sale of a business or investment real property. And what you're doing is you're exchanging the real property for another type of investment property, and you can defer your taxes forever, or you can defer your taxes for as long as you hold the next property. And if you decide that you need to cash out, you cash out on the sale and you pay your capital gains. Or you may utilize what is called in the industry a defer, die strategy. So what happens is that if you continue to defer your capital gains by continuing to do 1031 exchanges every time a property sells, and you pass away, your heirs will inherit that property, the last property, and when they sell it, all the capital gains will disappear because the value of that property gets stepped up at time of death. So the value, all the cost basis goes away because the value goes up to current market values.
So talk about a gift for your beneficiaries, folks. Think about this. You have this, there are many people who have inherited their parents' business. It could grow and be worth $15 million, something to that effect. You buy more properties, you gain value, you give it to the next generation, and they don't pay taxes. Now, you can also invest in your other property and maybe get some income from it. Now, you'll just pay ordinary income tax on that, but you're not going to pay the gains from the sale. And when you give it to your beneficiaries, they don't have to pay taxes. It's a beautiful win-win situation. Now, obviously, you'll have to deal with the estate taxation if it's, if you're above the threshold, right, Rick? I mean, there's no way of getting around that.
That's correct. But that's a completely different code in the tax section, and that's I believe it's $11 million minimum.
Yes.
Threshold, correct. And,
they're talking about lowering it, which we're not. We could spend a whole show on taxation, but look, folks, if you need help finding property, call my office, 561-537-5897. The number again, 561-537-5897. Because what happens is you only have a certain amount of time to do this. When you sell the first property, you typically have to identify the next property within 45 days, and then you have to close within 6 months. So if you're a realtor out there, an investor, a CPA, because of partnerships I have with Rick and his company, we literally could have a property for you the same day. And the reason for that is, folks, we're not limited to an individual property. We could have you invested in an institutionally managed property, which has a basket of different properties altogether. Rick, talk about how that works for people so that they're not limited to just one piece.
It'd be my pleasure. And you illustrated that perfectly, Danny. Denny, the Delaware Statutory Trust is a partial ownership structure of choice. So now, and what we talked about, there are many people that own very highly appreciated real estate. They don't want to manage real estate anymore. They want to leave a legacy for their kids, but their kids are in other professions. The last thing the kids want to do is manage properties, right. Once they inherit it. So a very good way to plan for estate planning and also to obviously defer those capital gains forever is to buy another piece of real estate through a 1031 exchange, but gee, I don't want to manage real estate anymore. This is where we come in. The Delaware Statutory Trust partial ownership structure permits fractional ownership where multiple investors can share ownership in a single property or a portfolio of properties, which means it's very good. Now you're not just limited to one property in one geographic area. You could actually have a nice diversified portfolio of, let's say, apartment buildings, or a diversified portfolio of self-storage properties, or a diversified portfolio of medical office buildings. So this is what you can access institutional quality properties through the DST structure.
Yeah, I mean, you might own a piece of an Amazon building or a Walgreens shopping center, or those storage places are hot commodities. They are money making things, and I want to segue that into the opportunity zones, because that's been something that's more recent, and I mean the opportunities, no pun intended, are really amazing, because you're now investing, folks, in an undervalued property. I think there's what, about 8,000 or 8,700 opportunity zones around the country. Rick, is it about that many that are available?
That's correct. And again, we find most real estate investors investors that are seeking rental income and tax deferral strategies go with the 1031 exchange structure. But as you said before, what happens if you sold your vintage Porsche, or all the gold that you had from 1950s, or artwork, or your business, so forth, etc.
Or if Charlie wants to get out of his Microsoft position.
Yeah, there's really no way to defer those taxes other than, against capital losses, that's not a good thing either, right? So
right.
Opportunity zone was defined under the 2017 Tax Act and Jobs Act, and it's basically a census-driven. They're permanent statistical subdivisions of a county, and like you said, there's 8,700 communities that are designated as qualified opportunity zones, and the criteria is that the poverty rate has to be above the regular population. The median family income has to be below the regular population, and the unemployment rate has to be higher than the normal population. So what you're finding a lot of areas that are near downtown, what used to be the big springing downtown sectors, etc. And what a qualified opportunity investment is, a vehicle that typically organized as a corporation and has to hold at least 90% of its assets in a qualified opportunity zone business or properties, right? And what it allows you to do in very simple terms is it allows you to invest your gains. You keep your principal from your previous sale. That does not have to be invested as it does in a 1031 exchange. You put your gains into a 1031 qualified opportunity zones, and you get to defer those gains till 2007, right? But what you're allowing those gains to do is earn you money during that time, so that it will typically pay for the capital gains tax, and you can continue to grow your estate and grow your assets.
Right. So, folks, you can defer it. Typically, it's 5 years, but I think after 2 years, you can get 80% back of your principal. However, your investment is still growing as if you did not take out the 80%. So then after
that's very dependent on the type of opportunity zone fund you do.
It's just an example I'm giving, right?
50 to 80% of your capital back in 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Through a refinancing structure, but that's very dependent on what that was our typical opportunity zone fund structure.
Okay.
And as we know, this year, it's too late already. It's December 30th. We're almost at Happy New Year's.
Right. Happy New Year. Right.
You were able to get a 10% discount on your cost basis last year or this year. And next year, it'll just be, if you can defer your taxes for 5 years and earn and go into an investment that's earning you money while you're deferring those taxes, that's always a good thing.
Yes.
Having someone else pay your capital gains tax is not a bad thing.
Right. Exactly. So, folks, simply, you're deferring it for 5 years, even though you have to pay your tax bill in 5 years. A lot of these properties are getting 15 to 20% growth each year, so that at the end of 5 years, those gains will offset your tax bill. Very important. Now, I like the whole structure because you're investing and you're helping the community. I mean, Rick, didn't you tell me that many places in downtown Miami and by the baseball stadium were opportunity zones, and now they're they're very expensive apartment complexes now. So they have totally redone the community, have they not?
They have, and what they do is it brings in a lot of jobs, right, into that once was a blighted community, now is a thriving community that has, generous, job opportunities there, and that's the whole point: is to lift people out of poverty, right?
Right,
and to
exactly.
lift these poverty-stricken, blighted areas, and even in Overtown, and there's areas in Atlanta, in St. Paul, Minnesota, Colorado Springs, Colorado, even in California, there's opportunity zones where they're lifting, where this is actually working for the population. And it really is. It's enriching a population and getting them out of poverty.
Years ago, weren't they called enterprise zones? I know in Hartford they had enterprise zones.
Yeah,
same type of thing. Same type of thing. It was.
It is a take on the enterprise zone strategy.
Now, here's the thing, folks. Take advantage while it's still here, because they're talking about changing things, of course. And I don't want to get into a political discussion, but if you'd like to know more, call the office at 561-537-5897. If you're a higher-end realtor, or if you have clients, or if you're a CPA, both of these are great tools to have. One of the things that we're offering clients with my company are these tools, because look, let's face it, I really believe taxation is going up, not down, folks. And inflation is real. And the other thing is, take advantage of selling things that you've made great gains on, and we'll show you how to defer those taxes. So, Rick, I appreciate you coming on, and he's with Inland Capital, and again, we've partnered up, and we're helping people with this. And any parting shots before I let you go, my friend?
Well, I just wanted to wish you and your radio audience and everyone a very, very happy and safe New Year's, and looking forward to a real good partnership in 2022 and prosperous times for all. So let's keep everybody safe and hug your families tight. And thank you again very much for allowing me to spend a couple minutes on your show.
Right back at you, brother. I'll talk to you soon, and we're going to take a break and come back with the one and only Marla Brodsky, folks.
Whoa.
All right, we are back on the Denny Artache show, and we have our third musketeer is not joining us today, but we have her on the phone, the one and only Marla Brodsky. Are you there, Marla?
I am. How are you?
There she is, that bubbly demeanor, huh?
Where are you? Are you in L.A.?
Can I tell you something?
What?
First of all, no, I'm here in Florida. I am here. You have no idea we have so much to talk about. You have no idea what has been going on.
I want to know what's going on. I do want to know what's going on.
Okay. First of all, I have been sick as a dog. I did not have COVID, but I had that crazy flu virus cold that has been kicking everybody in the sphincter. Like, I was dead.
I knew I shouldn't have kissed you when I saw you last time. I knew it.
What?
Yeah, Denny was sick too. Maybe he got it from you.
Oh, you were sick too, Denny?
Yeah, but I had the official bug. I tested
you had COVID?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I
God.
did.
Okay, well, I do not have COVID. But here's what's so crazy. I don't know if you remember this, but the last time we spoke, just to refresh everybody's memory, I was supposed to be going on a trip to Fort Lauderdale to stay at one of the hotels. I was going to finally meet up with the guy I was supposed to go to Nashville with. But remember, we had to cancel Nashville because he was sick.
Yes.
Anyway.
I do remember. So what happened?
The day before I was supposed to leave for Fort Lauderdale, which was 2 days before. I had said I couldn't come on the show because I was going to be away with him. I was sick as a dog. I couldn't go. We had to cancel the trip.
So did he fly down here and you said, "Hey, I can't meet you, dude"? Is that what happened?
Yeah. So he was flying down. He was going to be in Fort Myers Beach, about 4 hours away for a guy's trip. And he was cutting his trip short to come meet me.
Did he get upset?
He did, but it spiraled. Do you remember when I said I didn't even know if I was really into him anymore? Like
you said that. You told me and Charlie and Evan you were so excited. You're going to Nashville. That's where she was going.
Yeah.
Right.
I said, man.
That was the original how excited I was.
That's right.
And then that got canceled because he was sick.
Oh, my God. For those of you listening, wait. I got to tell people your background. Marla is she still is a casting director for reality TV shows. Tell them some of the major shows that you've done in the past, Marla. Tell them some of the major shows.
The big ones that people, I ran Extreme Makeover on ABC till it ended.
Okay.
I worked on Paradise Hotel on Fox. I did Make Me a Supermodel for Bravo, Phenomenon on NBC. Most recently I just worked on Double Shot at Love for MTV. I've done name it, I've done it. Whether it was relationship shows, makeover shows, game shows, I've worked on.
And folks, she also had a show where she was doing it out of her hot tub. Do
you know? You got to know. Do you know a lady named Crispy Soloperto in South Beach, Florida?
What?
I do not.
Yeah, because she's been on Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, really?
Okay. He killed himself. Okay, but
yeah,
but that's beside the point. So she is a big wig down there. In South Beach.
That whole Anthony Bourdain. It just goes to show. I always tell people, please be kind to each other. You don't know what everyone is going through, and people do not fake being depressed. They fake being happy.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
This guy had everything, and he kills himself.
What a bummer.
Yep.
So please be kind. So anyway, he's upset you didn't show up. Did you make it up to him? Or?
Listen, he felt badly. He wasn't upset. It was a really traumatic experience for us both because I finally was like, look, it's not meant to be. You got sick and I got sick, and then it was like, and everything was spiraling out of control. It was getting too serious. You have to understand. And this is what's so crazy. And this is why I get it. Like, if you've seen these shows, which like my mother's favorite shows, like 90 Day Fiancé or Married at First Sight.
The Bachelor, all that stuff. Yes.
All this craziness. They're all like falling in love online.
Right.
They're falling in love over the phone.
Yeah.
They're falling in love overseas. And it's like, it's very easy to do that because you're living in a fantasy land, right?
That's not love. That's called lust. That's not love.
Right.
Oh.
Love takes time.
Right. You're not dealing with the real world. You know what I mean? And all of this crap that comes with it. So for us, even though, of course, we had met in person, but our whole relationship and how we felt for one another was really over the phone. And so when it got closer to the time of us actually being together, I was kind of getting scared.
You don't have to take a shower if it's
right.
Right? I was getting crap. He was getting, he was getting nervous. Like we were both getting like, oh my God, this is like getting really scary. So it was just not meant to be. And we still are talking, but we decided like we have to back this up. It's getting way too serious too fast. Neither of us are ready for what could have been. I don't want to be in a long distance relationship. He can't be right now.
Listen, long distance relationships, they don't work. There's always an exception to the rule.
You're never going to catch a disease.
But Charlie, would you stop it already? You had to go there. All right. Yes, you cannot catch a disease from a long distance relationship. Right.
I'm talking about COVID. Okay.
Oh, COVID. Yeah, of course you are.
Yeah, right.
Well, you can still, just not from your partner.
Reality. You see these movies, and of course, the Hollywood movies. Everything's perfect, and they sail off into the sunset. they don't deal with.
Titanic didn't end that way.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
You wake up and reality sets, or you're in a grumpy mood, and it's not all those who think relationships are perfect and they're no work. They're definitely living in a pipe dream. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Listen, and here's the most important thing for me. And this is where it really comes in. I don't trust it. I'm really big into trust. I'm really big into communication. We have great communication, but at the end of the day, I really don't trust him. And there's certain things as you get to know someone that you realize just don't work for you. And they could work for other people, but they just don't work for you. Do you know what I mean? And the more that we spoke, I realized this is not a guy, even if all the ducks were in a row, and even if we were in the town one town over, this is not a guy that I would want to be with.
Good.
So let me ask you, you've never physically met him. It was all online.
And no, I did.
Oh, you did.
But
okay.
we actually met here. We met in Florida.
You did meet. Okay.
Yes. And then he flew back to where he lived the next day.
So you met for one night? Is that what it was? Or one day?
Yes, we met at a bar. Yeah.
You met at a bar. Huh?
Okay.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Wait, here's even a funnier story. I was out to dinner with my girlfriend. We were at Fritz City Bistro in downtown Stewart.
Oh, okay.
And this 3 guys walked by, and two of my girlfriends run outside because they were good looking and saying like, "Oh, come meet us, come inside." Blah, blah, blah. And they did, and they came inside and they had dinner, and then they met us at the Crafted Keg. And that was it.
See, I don't have that problem because I'm no longer good looking. I'm just I'm resourceful. That's what I am.
Well,
I'm resourceful.
I'm not attracted to you, Denny. So.
Well, I'm glad you're not attracted to me,
thank
Charlie.
Lord,
even though if we were in South Beach, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
Or according to Jerry Seinfeld.
I guess.
No, I guess compared to some that I am, but I look at pictures of me, say 10, 15, 20 years ago. I'm like, wow.
Well, I was
Where is that dude?
50 years ago.
Doesn't everybody feel that way when they look at their photos from yesteryears?
I mean,
guess. They're like, oh man, I look
But
good
Marla,
then.
when I first met you and I was playing and I saw you, you had that infectious big ass grin and smile.
I was there.
And people, right. People were swarming around her. She had the honey in the beehive's nest.
Oh man, I want to break into across the room.
She pushed a couple of guys aside and said, "Wait a minute, I'm paying attention. Hold on, get out of my way." And she's looking at me because I'm playing music. And
I
it was so
paying attention. I was locked in.
You're the leader of the pack, Denny.
So since then, Marla's listen. I did the show on Sunday, Marla, and people were asking, "Where's Marla?" I went,
"Oh,
I don't know. That's a good question."
That was my Christmas dinner. Our family Christmas dinner was Sunday.
So you had it after Christmas.
We had the day after Christmas. Okay. Yeah.
Well, it was a great show, and just so you know, people were asking about you already. So we're we're permanently affixed by the hip here.
She's famous.
We're permanently attached.
Yes.
I'm so sad that I missed that show. I was so upset when my brother made the date and the time. I was like, because it was same exact time, 1:00.
All right. So listen, we're gonna catch up. Let's have lunch. Okay. Come to my office, whatever. Come to Jupiter, and I want to find out about the latest in the Marla Brodsky dating world.
Guess what?
It could be a whole new reality show.
There's one more cliffhanger that we could talk about.
What's that?
I bought a place in Stewart.
You did not.
I did.
Man, a lot's been going on in the last 2 weeks.
A lot happened in the last 2 weeks.
Did you really? Did you sell your spot in Studio City?
No.
You're gonna keep it?
Yeah.
Wow. So she's gonna become a real estate
tycoon.
She
can do that investing.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna talk about that. And listen, if you're not doing anything, I'm gonna be jamming at Terra Firmata tonight because I'm covering for the guy who came down with COVID. So.
Oh my God! Everybody has.
Yeah, it's a very contagious strain that's out there, but the good news is it's not as lethal. And so if you're not doing anything, I'll be there tonight. I will catch up with you, my dear. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Marla Brodsky.
Thank you, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year. Safe New Year.
Sounds good.
Happy New Year.
So, that's a lot's gone on with her in the last couple of weeks. Huh?
I just thought there could be a rock group called Omicron.
What do you think they would wear? Like wigs and spandex?
That would be wild,
Have you ever worn spandex, Evan, back in the day? You never did? He's like, that wasn't me.
My wife went out with yoga pants.
I don't even know. Did you even have long hair back in the day? Oh, you did?
Wow.
Oh, you did? Okay. All right. How about you, Charlie? Your hair's kind of long now. Did you have it
Yeah,
longer?
I had a full beard and everything. My mother said, if you, because I was working at a gas station at night, going to college in the daytime, if you walked out to fill up my car, I'd say, forget it and leave. I say, Mom, me? Yeah, you look dirty.
Well,
I bathed.
let's hope that the new year brings prosperity to everyone. And I started off early in the show that I like New Year's resolutions. It gives you a time to reflect. I certainly had time on my hands to reflect, the last 2 weeks, and I have some lofty goals that I want to achieve. I have one. I also want to focus on remaining happy at all costs, because I think that if we take care of our brain and our bodies, everything else just kind of falls into place. And I really believe that what you focus on, the mind will give it to you. So you have to be positive minded. For example, don't focus on things that you don't want to do anymore, because your brain doesn't know whether you want it or not. It just knows if you keep thinking about it, it's not going away.
Absolutely. Don't dwell.
I'm no longer going to get angry. I'm no longer going to get angry. And guess what? You're going to get angry because you're thinking about it.
Be positive.
I only think about it when I drive. It's the most stressful time.
And no waving a single finger at anybody.
Because everyone's moving to Florida. My God, they're coming here by the truckloads.
Be polite.
Yes, be polite.
Civil.
Be kind.
Civil.
Treat others like you would like to be treated.
There you go.
And I made a deal with myself to not personalize anymore, or as best that I can, how people when they treat you badly, because chances are it has very little to do with you or me or whoever.
Just tell them God bless you, and that pisses them off.
Yeah, they would. Exactly right. Smile at them, and you watch them blow their tops and everything.
God.
Which is a practice art form. I know that the great Buddha says if someone has a bad attitude and they want to give it to you as a gift, and you don't accept it, whose gift is it now?
There you go.
So one thing I can tell you, that most successes in life they don't happen by accident. They're planned.
Right.
They're habitual. They're studied, and they're very deliberate. They don't just happen. So I think happiness and success follows suit with that. You have to decide that you're going to be happy, that you're going to be successful, that you're going to overcome challenges. Because I'm going to say this, brother, Christmas is a special time for me.
The birth of Christ.
And look how I spent it. Marooned, alone. But it was for the better of all. And
you could have talked to somebody called Wilson.
Wilson? Who's that?
Remember Shipwrecked?
Oh, yeah,
Tom
that's right.
Hanks.
With Tom Hanks, right. Well, I was talking to my guitar a lot. I was playing my guitar. I'm really excited about
Is
the
your
Memphis
guitar
show.
have a name?
I only have one guitar that I've named, and it's the one Strat that's natural. I named it after Francine. I call it the Franny Strat because she doesn't wear makeup. And this guitar doesn't have paint on it. It's all natural. That's the only one I've named. I will say that I'm looking forward to Memphis in a few weeks for the International Blues competition. It's going to be 230 acts from 18 countries.
Good.
Anybody and everybody who's in the blues music scene will be in Memphis, Tennessee for a week.
Wow.
Yeah. I was there 2 years ago, 2 weeks. And I had never been in Memphis before. What a city of history. Memphis it's got some great sections. It's got some poverty-strict section, but it's got a lot of history, to it. It's got the Blues Museum. It's got Sun Studios. I went to Graceland. The Civil Rights Museum, it choked me up. I literally had to leave. I was just about in tears because it showed the whole history of what happened in our country. We have a great country, but we also have a past that many of us care not to think about. And the Civil Rights Museum really talks about it. It chokes you up. But it's important that it exists. Kind of like some of those crazy people who try and say that the Holocaust never happened.
Yeah, really.
And I remember that the generals said, film this, because in the future there are going to be some lunatics that say that this never happened and that 6 million Jewish people did not, suffer a horrible existence. And so the reality is life is harsh. The world is harsh. We have to go on and make the best of it. But my God, when you think about some of the histories that we've endured, World War I, World War II, this pandemic is horrible. But, compared to some of the other things and atrocities that the world has faced, it's not as bad, believe me. And so when you look at the history of slavery, what happened in the Holocaust, and still some things that are happening today, that's why, I can only watch so much news, because they focus on all these things. And
if it bleeds, it leads.
I really try and keep it to an hour to an hour and a half, mostly for the financial, because they're all kind of tying together. If there are some things going on in the world like civil unrest, war, it affects the economy and lots of things. But I'll be damned if I'm going to sit and watch news channels for 4 or 5 hours where they're just spewing out the same thing over and over again.
Negativity.
Right. It's kind of tough. I'd rather listen to some other shows. Now, before I forget, the great John Madden passed away recently. This guy was football in so many ways. He was so funny, so entertaining. He was real. What I loved about John is, as rich and successful as he was, he loved to talk to anyone. The guy would not fly. He traveled around in a bus all over America. He would go to different restaurants, and he was just, his generosity was infectious. A great legend, John Madden. And you know what?
For Super Bowl 11, right?
I forgot which Super Bowl he won, but just think about after that, his
Raiders.
sportscasting was just unbelievable. He came up with the game, the football game as well, the Madden Live, and he's one of those guys that was always positive and always enlightening. So God bless him and his family. And before we go, I just want to remind everybody, New Year's Eve is coming up Friday. I am playing. Evan is performing as well. Make it a good year this year. Forget about, maybe not totally forget
Team
2021 and 2020, but certainly learn from it. And let's make 2022 better than 2021 and better than 2020. Embrace the fact that you're alive, you have your health and your sanity. I always say that. Right,
That's
Charles?
Right. Hug your family, man. Keep it close.
Hug your family. Make it a great day. We'll see you next week. And make it the best day that you can. Thank you.
God bless you.